Okay, so good afternoon. My name is David Vidial. This is a continued discussion on the role of anthropologists in Native Alaskan cultures. So, from my reading of Clifford, Langdon, Barnhart, Coagley, one of the things that I really took was obstacles and opportunities. Anthropologists face pretty large obstacles when it comes to collecting information accurately and respectfully and meaningfully when dealing with native tribes. So, most anthropologists are Western university trained. They went to various universities around the country or around the world that have a very specific model of instruction for the most part in terms of getting your basics. That's kind of Greek in its origins, just getting well-rounded. Got to take math classes, got to take history, got to take English, blah, blah, blah. And then you get your, more specific content as you get a little further on into the degree plan. And so you might have some experience with, specific cultural groups if you did various seminars and whatnot, but typically the university system is graduating students that are not very aware of personal native histories and what it is really like to be native. And so as an anthropologist, I can imagine that is a difficult situation to deal with, and it's a very tough obstacle to overcome. And so that being said, I think from what I've read, the most effective and culturally appropriate mode of anthropology is collaborative. So, obviously the anthropologist that's studying a certain culture that is not part of that culture needs to be aware of their limitations, be aware of their ignorance, and work alongside somebody within that native community that can help them to tell the story of that tribe, to tell the story of that clan in a way that is accurate, that is meaningful and effective. And so, one of the things that the other reading, Barnhart and Coagley, said is oral histories. And so oral histories are very effective. It's the way that I learned it when I got my degree in history was, the difference between top-down versus bottom-up history. And so most textbooks, if you go to a high school or middle school and you're reading a textbook, that's top-down history. It's the classical histories written by the victors kind of history. It leaves out a lot. Bottom-up history is the stories from the ground. If we're talking about the Civil War, that could be a diary of a Confederate soldier or of a Union soldier, just their day-to-day. What did they do? How did they do it? What were they feeling? What were they really experiencing? And so, oral histories, talking to a native person that's telling you what their grandfather told them and the stories from their family that have been around for generations. It's a very great way to really learn about these cultures and respect their traditions, because oral histories have been the way that most of these peoples have been communicating their history for most of their existence. Most of these native tribes didn't write their stuff down until like the 19th, 20th century. So, yeah. And then another thing that I took was the role of technology. That was a big one for me. Reading this story about the son who was learning how to hunt with his dad, and the dad basically just went out, walked towards the caribou, and set his bow down and waited. Did that little flapping thing, made himself look like a bird, and then he was able to take down as many caribou as he needed with a bow and arrow. And so then with the adoption of firearms using guns, you don't have to be as close. He was 20, 30 feet away from these caribou with the adoption of firearms. You could take a 300 Win Mag or a 338 Magnum. You can be a couple of hundred yards away and be an effective shot and take down a caribou. And so you don't need to be as close. You don't need to be as involved in the hunt, in the kill. And so I think, from what I'm reading and really from what I've experienced myself as a hunter, you lose a little bit of the connection with the kill. When you hunt and you eat what you kill, and especially when you eat what you kill pretty immediately, you don't wait an extended period of time or go have somebody else clean it for you. You clean it yourself, you kill it yourself, you eat it. Within a short time frame, there's something very spiritual about that process. And I think that, with guns, it makes it easier to kill, and it just takes away a little, I would say, from that spiritual nature. So for me, that was a little bit of an analogy for just how technology creates distance in general. And so, bows and arrows, you have to be closer to the game to hunt and to kill. Guns, that's technology. You can be farther away. Today, what's keeping people farther away is social media, Facebook, Instagram, things like that. It's easier to communicate with somebody that lives in a really far away place, but that communication is not the same, right? Where you might have somebody living in Juneau that's originally from, say, Bethel, and that was very involved in the Yupik community, that would go to, dinners and lunches and community events with that population, with those native peoples, and just chat and just hang out and share stories. Moving to Juneau, they're, pretty far away. They can communicate through social media, but it's not the same. It's not as meaningful or personable. So I do think that there is a distance that is created through technology that we have just come to accept. But, I think it is something to think about when it comes to anthropology and how technology is going to play a role in the way that these cultures and societies, communities are shaped, and the way that anthropologists can go about gathering information and monitoring that progress and change. And then the rest of my PowerPoint is just, some information about each tribe that I collected from the Langdon lectures. I just thought, this is like little tidbits. Stellar sea lion was most important for subsistence. I include some pictures here and there just because, I'm a teacher and this is how I communicate information. And so, yeah, pretty cool looking sea lions. Little map there for the Altuiq, and I apologize for the pronunciation there. But Pacific Eskimo, whale fishermen. Whale hunting was the most elaborate food procurement practice. So you can imagine whale hunting was pretty tough. And many of these tribes, they were matrilineal. So they took their family name from their wife's side. And the women had a lot of power and authority in those tribes. The Yupits, which Yupit is plural, Yupik would be singular. Talked a little bit about Yupiks. I worked with a Yupik woman here in Juneau for a good while. Very, very nice lady, very much a proud Yupit. And so anywho, I did see this, the Incinerat. Yeah, little people. I saw that TikTok. Thought that was kind of funny, but I mean, when I looked it up, that is an actual urban legend of small human-like creatures that enjoyed causing mischief within the Yupik culture. And so, every culture has urban legends, myths, folklore, just different stories that create some sort of fear about the unknown and things like that, which are effective, right? Let's keep our children alive by telling them that there's little people in the forest that will try to get you and kill you, and that'll keep them from going out late at night and possibly falling over a rock or something and dying, right? And then northern Eskimos in Yupiat. This is a blanket toss. So this was used in hunting, helped them to see a little bit farther. They'd get up about 20 feet in the air so that they could see over the trees and just kind of see what was out there. So, before technology, this is what they had to do. In order to do that today, we'd probably just use a drone or climb a ladder or something like that. And Athabascans, these are interior Indians. I got this picture. It was a gathering of chiefs from 1915. 11 ethnic groups, earliest evidence of occupation 11,000 years ago. And then the last one I've got here is Tlingit Haida, 15,000 individuals, very common here in Juneau, settled about 10,000 years ago. And so this picture here is very common artwork within the Tlingit Haida community. It's a raven battling an eagle. You see that here at hospitals in Juneau, at Search, Bartlett, different places like that. Also matrilineal and housing 20 to 40 feet, cedar planks, sometimes up to 60 feet, so more elaborate. So that should be about it as far as the information goes. So thank you for watching, and take care.